I would certainly agree with that. It's by no means a criticism of the UK, but certainly here, one of the big differences that all the British people that I speak to, they all say the same thing, which is in America, everyone wants to get behind you.
Once again, Prince Harry learns the hard way that borrowed prestige doesn't guarantee applause. Harry took the stage at the Upfront Summit 2025 in Los Angeles, only to be met with an icy silence, no applause, no cheers, just an echo chamber of disinterest that exposed the painful truth: Harry's star power has withered beyond repair. Once a royal rebel hailed for breaking the mold, the Duke of Sussex now finds himself adrift in a sea of indifference.
To see me up here, perhaps wondering which of the plethora of issues consuming the world today that I'm going to talk about. Well, I don't have that long, and I know that Mark wants to quiz me after, so I'll keep this important topic brief.
His every attempt at public engagement greeted with a collective shrug, his speech filled with platitudes and recycled grievances landed with a thud, and the audience's reaction, or lack thereof, said it all: no one cares anymore. Let's begin with what actually happened in that auditorium. Multiple attendees of the Upfront Summit 2025 confirmed the same awkward moment. Prince Harry finished his speech, took a short pause, and waited for applause, but it never came. No standing ovation, no polite clapping. Not even the awkward coughs you hear when people are unsure if it's over.
Talk about something that I believe will resonate with all of you as leaders, as creators, builders, and change makers. How do we invest in our shared future to solve the challenges we face today?
Tech journalist from Business Insider who was present tweeted, quote, "Harry's speech just ended. Wow, no reaction. I've never seen a summit crowd go that still." Another attendee posted on LinkedIn calling the moment painfully awkward and noting that the room felt frozen. This wasn't a glitch in a live stream or a technical issue. It was a genuine reaction from a room full of professionals who clearly weren't buying what Harry was selling. Now here's the kicker: the content of Harry's speech, rather than adapting his message to the entrepreneurial and innovation-focused audience, Harry chose to revisit the same old talking points.
The way that I answer the question of how we invest in our shared future is different now living in the US to when I was living in the UK. Why? Well, because before I moved, so much of my life revolved around charity.
Trauma of royal life, the toxicity of the media, and his ongoing crusade for mental health awareness. Of course, these are important topics, but they've been exhausted as told these stories to Oprah, Netflix, in his memoir Spare, and at nearly every public event since 2020. At this point, even sympathetic audiences are tuning out. Sources say that parts of his speech were lifted almost verbatim from his previous interviews, a move that suggested either laziness, delusion, or both. And remember, the Upfront Summit isn't a therapy session, it's a forum for innovation, disruption, and practical leadership. While other speakers were pitching AI breakthroughs and startup success strategies, Harry was offering a tired monologue on being misunderstood. The silent reception didn't happen in a vacuum. It's a reflection of a broader truth: corporate America is over Prince Harry. Let's look at the hard facts. In 2020, Harry and Meghan signed multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix, Spotify, and Penguin Random House fast forward to 2025, and those deals have all either expired or been quietly dropped. Spotify terminated their agreement in 2023 with executive Bill Simmons publicly blasting them as, quote, grifters. Netflix didn't renew their deal with insiders, citing low performance metrics for Meghan's animated series Pearl and limited viewership for their documentaries without active contracts or hit content. Harry's commercial value has plummeted, is not seen as a visionary or marketable voice anymore. He's seen as a PR liability, and that's exactly why his speech landed with such a thud. The audience knew they weren't listening to a leader, they were listening to a brand in free fall.
Investing in companies that are developing technological solutions to address the root causes of societal challenges. Now, focusing on one core issue at its source, ultimately to solve the hundreds that stem from it. Now, this would be a great time
to add insult to injury. Harry wasn't even a headliner at the Upfront Summit. Unlike previous events where he was treated as a main attraction, this time he was quietly slotted into a mid-tier wellness panel far from the main stage where real power players spoke. People like venture capitalist Mark Andre, actress, entrepreneur Jessica Alba, and tech disruptors leading billion-dollar startups. An internal agenda leaked to the press showed Harry's Segment taking place after a blockchain ethics discussion and before a climate tech pitch and odd placement that made it clear he was more filler than feature.
The fact that day-to-day life has gotten so much harder, and that as bosses, you want to offer world-class coaching to your employees. Now, the people in this room represent a sizable piece of the industry dedicated to being the first and follow-on capital.
And that might explain the muted crowd. They weren't there to hear Harry speak. He wasn't a draw, he wasn't essential. He was just there, and in the world of high-stakes public engagement, being just there is the worst kind of failure. So what does this all mean? Prince Harry's cold reception at the Upfront Summit wasn't a one-off embarrassment. It was a mirror reflecting his decline, no longer a headline maker, no longer a cultural force.
Or the planet. That's the future that I see. Companies that are designed not just for profit, but for an investment in a better shared future. After all, if we carry on at this rate, even the most profitable companies will exist in a world of smoke
and certainly no longer the inspiring outsider he once pretended to be. He came to Los Angeles expecting applause. What he got was silence. You'd think that even after a lackluster speech, Prince Harry would still command headlines. After all, as a royal right-wrong major outlets that covered the Upfront Summit, including TechCrunch, Bloomberg, and CNBC, all focus on industry highlights like AI, innovation, climate tech investments, and venture capital trends.
Tell me, what 5 years of living here, what do you miss the most about the UK?
Well, look, living here now for 5 years, it feels like home. Santa Barbara feels like home. Brought up both of
Harry's name was either buried deep in footnotes or completely omitted. Even The Guardian, one of the few papers that's been historically favorable to the Sussexes, offered just a passing line. Prince Harry also spoke briefly. Audience reaction was muted. That's a coverage compared that to previous years when every speech, every appearance, every quote from Harry and Meghan would spark a media frenzy. Now even the tabloids can't be bothered to spin the silence into a scandal. That's how far his star has fallen, not with a bang, but with a yawn. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic,
Irish pub just down the road in Santa Barbara, and it's they do good bangers and mash.
And I guess
that's sausages and potato.
And I guess there's like this thing you guys call football that's there.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of soccer. Whoa.
The British royal family has adopted the most brutal PR strategy of all: absolute silence. No royal spokesperson issued a statement, no tweets from official palace accounts, no subtle endorsements, nothing. This comes just months after Harry lost his high-profile IAV case, a lawsuit in which he tried to force the UK government to restore his publicly funded security detail, only to be completely rejected by the judge. The ruling: Harry was not entitled to taxpayer protection.
Years of public service that you've spent. If anyone in this room hasn't read Spare, I highly recommend it because
you're plugging my book right now.
But I'm going to tell you why.
Shameful.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you why is that, like, I live
because he had voluntarily stepped down from royal duties and, in the court's words, failed to demonstrate compelling necessity. That decision was a legal and symbolic slap in the face, and the palace's continued silence at public events like the Upfront Summit speaks volumes. Harry is not missed, not needed, and certainly not supported. He may still carry the title of Duke, but when it comes to royal relevance as a ghost, let's talk numbers. According to a YouGov poll from April 2025, Prince Harry's approval rating in the UK has dropped to a shocking 19% among Americans aged 25 to 40. For the demographic most likely to have once supported his mental health advocacy, his favorability has cratered to just 28%. Respondents cited three recurring reasons: overexposure, the Netflix specials, the Oprah interview, the podcast interviews, a memoir. Spare has been a non-stop torrent of Harry fatigue. Hypocrisy, criticizing the media while seeking press, preaching privacy while doing tell-alls, demanding taxpayer-funded security while denouncing the UK establishment privilege, posing as pain. Many simply find it hard to sympathize with a man complaining about life from his Montecito Mansion, the prince who once sparked international admiration for his authenticity and bravery, now finds himself cast as a symbol of entitlement and self-pity, a royal whose crown has long since lost its shine. Prince Harry's speech at the Upfront Summit was more than just a forgettable 20-minute talk. It was a turning point, a moment where the cameras were rolling, the world was watching, and yet the room went silent, no reaction, no applause. Just the echo of a man who used to matter trying to convince a crowd that he still does. But the truth couldn't be clearer. The public has moved on, and no amount of speeches, lawsuits, or self-published therapy sessions can fix that. If there was ever a red flag flapping in the wind, it was as Meghan Markle didn't attend the Upfront Summit with Harry. And no one cared. Let's be clear, in the past, Meghan would have never missed a photo op this big, from walking red carpets at the Invictus Games to accidentally being caught by paparazzi at casual lunches. She's made public visibility a central part of her brand, yet at one of Lars' most high-profile business and innovation events, she was a ghost, not on the guest list, not in the audience, not even mentioned by Harry in his speech, and more importantly, no one in the press asked why. No speculation, no headlines, no buzz. That's the real story. The indifference, Meghan's absence, didn't spark curiosity. It confirmed a new reality. The Sussex brand doesn't command attention anymore, not in LA, not in Silicon Valley. Not even among the woke elites who once rallied behind them behind closed doors. The assessment is even more brutal. Several financial analysts, media strategists, and branding consultants who once praised the Sussexes are now calling the brand stale and toxic. In a March 2025 report by PR Week, a senior brand executive from a major tech conglomerate who requested anonymity said bluntly, "Associating with Harry and Meghan today doesn't guarantee reach, it guarantees controversy, backlash, and diminishing ROI. Spotify already dumped them. Netflix declined to renew. Penguin Random House is reportedly hesitant to fund a follow-up to Spare after disappointing post-release sales that failed to sustain interest beyond the initial scandal. The Sussexes are facing a perfect storm. Their public goodwill is depleted, their stories are recycled, and their financial demands remain absurdly high. According to leaked insider info, Harry still insists on six-figure appearance fees even as rooms go quiet when he speaks. One entertainment executive put it best: they're trying to cash in on a reputation that no longer exists at this point. They're not just struggling for relevance, they're over-leveraged and increasingly unwanted. Let's not forget where Harry and Meghan are hiding out: a $14 million mansion in Montecito, a gated enclave known for its solitude far from the LA limelight. What once seemed like a peaceful retreat now looks more like a gilded bunk, out of touch, out of reaching out of options. In early 2025, the couple reportedly laid off more than half of their arch-well-staffed public initiatives, have stalled projects under review. Their supposed rebrand as impact entrepreneurs hasn't produced a single scalable venture. Meanwhile, high-profile allies like Oprah, Tyler Perry, and even the Obamas have grown distant or silent. Harry and Meghan were once considered a cultural force. Today, they are more often used as a cautionary tale in PR boardrooms. Isolation isn't just physical, it's reputational, and their Montecito mansion may be beautiful, but in the court of global opinion, it's starting to feel like a tomb. The silence after Prince Harry's speech wasn't just an awkward moment. It was a verdict from a media, from the public, from a business elite, and perhaps even from Meghan herself. It's over. The Sussexes aren't disruptors, they are distractions, and if they keep showing up expecting applause, they'll keep walking off in silence.